Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now I know it's been a hot minute since I've posted, and to be honest, the main reason was because I was finally able to have quality time with my family for a few days, and so I just decided not to film or edit. I just wanted to spend just relaxation time with them. So this is why this video is going to be posted this week. However, I am so excited to finally get this video out there. This has been something that's been in my mind for a lot longer than I ever, even when I started my channel, this has just been way out there, 7-8 months previous before I even thought of, really considering YouTube. And so I'm just kind of excited that this is going to be one of the videos on my channel. And for those of you who read it, this is going to be 15 ways to start saving money. Now, these kind of, tips and advice are things that I've done and continue to do during my debt-free journey, and I've just seen tremendous progress financially because I was able to implement these 15 things. So without further ado, let's get in the video. Number 1, you need to create an emergency fund for when hits the fan or if there's a rainy day. Now, if you've watched the Dave Ramsey show or you follow the Budget Mom on Instagram, whatever the case may be, they say that you have to have $1,000 in your emergency fund for a rainy day, such as, I don't know, your car tire blew out and you need to have funds then, right then and there, to replace it with a new tire. That's when you use your emergency fund. Now, me personally, given the current COVID environment, I don't think $1,000 is going to cut it. I mean, to be quite honest, what is that going to do? I suggest that you have at least minimum 3 months up to 9 months saved, probably in cash or in a savings account, whatever the case may be, liquid funds that you can look at for a rainy day. Number 2, and it's very crucial, look at the last 3 months of your spending. AKA look at your monthly statements or your monthly review on your checking account to see where your money is going. You may be wondering right now, where the heck is my money going? I don't remember spending it, but it's not there in my account, and I can't, finance this trip that I want to go to, or I can't plan my birthday vacation. Whatever the, thing that you want to do, I highly suggest look at the last 3 months and create categories for each month. And each one will probably most likely resemble, one is shopping, groceries, restaurants, mortgage, rent, whatever the case may be. Look at those. That way, when you do start your budget, and I do mine by paycheck, I'm able to look at and say, for example, why am I spending almost each month roughly $600 to $700 in groceries for myself? Maybe when I start this budget, I need to look at $200, $300 a month. That way, all the other money that I think I'm going to spend is just going to savings, if that makes sense. Which I'm probably going to do a separate video of budgeting in depth, how I do it. And I'll probably show you exactly what I put and have examples. That way you understand. But looking at your previous expenses, I will say is a shock. It's an eye-opener. When I first started my debt-free journey, and I looked at them, I was just kind of embarrassed because most of my money was going on fast food, a lot on groceries, which I'll talk later about, and somewhat shopping. I had a bad habit of just swiping my card, and it was mostly my debit card. Sometimes I used my credit card, and things just got out of hand. And so when I was able to finally look at my paychecks, look at my budgeting worksheet, I got that under control. So now I don't have to worry about, going over budget. Sometimes I do, but that's because an unforeseen circumstance happened, and it is what it is. But for the most part, I've saved so much money by just doing that one. I mean, it's not hard, but it is a long task. It takes time to go through all of your expenses. And it's embarrassing and it's shocking, and to be quite honest, that's what fueled me to continue this, because I don't want to be like that past Jessica who has all of these expenses racked up and nothing to show for it, if that makes sense. Number 3, stop eating out. You know, this kind of goes with looking at my previous expenses and what I said about that was one of the major spending categories, and I'm pretty sure it is for you guys. Just, one, it's unhealthy, because most likely you're going to a fast food restaurant where they have fried foods or greasy food, and it's just not good for your body. Number 2, even though it's doesn't seem like it's too expensive up front, you know, you might pay $7-8 for an entire meal, but if you're doing that, you know, multiple times each day, that adds up, not including the groceries that you are buying. So in total, you could be spending several $100s on restaurant items, you know, fast food, dining in, whatever the case may be, and groceries. So if I were you, I would, 1, shop your pantry. And we're going to be talking about this in another tip. But look at your pantry. What items do you have? What recipes can you make from them? And then go off of that. That way, you're not necessarily kind of in a rut and you don't know what you have on hand, and you make the excuse of, oh, well, I have nothing in my home, so therefore I need to go out and get something. Or maybe I didn't meal prep for the week, even though I have the groceries, and I'm too lazy to do it. I deserve, you know, that Whataburger #1. That's me. But, you know, that's just the mindset that I feel like a lot of us have is, you know, we make excuses, we don't meal prep, or we don't find the time of the day to cook, and this is just the easiest option. But in reality, it's sucking you dry. It's sucking your bank account dry. And my thing with this is that when I started my debt-free journey, I gave myself just kind of leeway because I knew this was going to be a very difficult habit to create of spending frugally, especially with this category. So I started out kind of fairly okay, where it's like, you know, my budget, you know, was a little bit bigger in the beginning when it came to restaurants, and then I slowly weaned myself to smaller and smaller budgets to eventually now, you know, I maybe eat once every weekend, so that's 4 times. And usually it's, you know, me and Alex are splitting something, or we have coupons for, you know, a new pizza joint in town, and so we did that. We actually did that yesterday. 2 days ago. We got free cheesy bread just for using a weekly ad coupon. So that's typically what I do now, and it's not as big of a deal as I thought it would have been in the past. But like I said, I gave myself leeway. I gave myself patience. So when you start this, just give yourself time. Give yourself the love and respect of just not cutting it out cold turkey. Start small and then work yourself up to something bigger of, you know, a more limited budget. Number 4, stop doing very expensive grocery hauls. Now, for some reason, I feel like this has to do a lot with millennials and kind of like the healthy initiative that's going on, which there's nothing wrong with that. But something that I've noticed personally is I would go to a grocery store, right, with either no checklist of items that I needed. I would typically go hungry, or, you know, I just kind of went in there like blind, you know, and I would just pick up everything that looked good, or like, oh, I can make this with this, or I can make this with this. And then I would go home, right, with like a few $100s out of my checking account because of this haul, and then half the time the food expired on my shelf, the food expired in my pantry, the food expired in my fridge, and the things that I did make, you know, it would last me for so long that, you know, I kind of felt bad. I felt guilty for buying all this food. And I will admit that, you know, at the time I did have the mindset of maybe I should cut back on my grocery hauls, or maybe I'm not doing it right, you know, like kind of like an unnerving feeling. But what I've noticed is that during that time, I think the reason why I wasn't eating all of my food was because I would look at these healthy YouTubers, these healthy influencers, and I always felt overwhelmed, like, oh, I have to buy all of these ingredients. I don't have anything of this in my pantry. There's nothing like this in my fridge. And so I would go to like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, whatever, and I would come out with like a few $100 of things that I never wanted. And so half of the time, you know, I would have like random things like I don't know, Brussels sprouts, which I don't really like, in my fridge expiring, and those can be kind of expensive. We all know that, like, sometimes produce and meats can be really expensive, and that's what I was doing. So my advice to you is, before you go grocery shopping, you need to look at your pantry. And I know you hear that a lot about, you know, shop your pantry, but in reality, that's what I do now. It saves me a lot of kind of energy and time when I do my recipe list, because I know what I have on hand, I know I need to use it, and typically it's foods that I know I'm going to eat, because I kind of cut down on, I guess, like the healthy aspect. Like, I still buy healthy things, but I'm limiting myself to like one new meal a week, if that makes sense. Like, I used to have like a whole grocery haul of like new recipe ideas, and I ended up not wanting it all and went back to a comfort food or fast food. And now I don't do that so much. I get what I know I like, and I change things, if, you know, here and there, whether I get veggie noodles or whatever the case may be, kind of going off topic. But shop your pantry, shop your fridge, and then find recipes that have those ingredients in them. And then whatever you need left, just go to the grocery store. And of course, budget yourself. Always try and stick to your budget. For example, if you have a $200 budget for groceries, just know that whatever recipes you're going to be needing extra ingredients for, just keep it under that budget. Number 5, I think we need to limit the treat myself mentality to a minimum. So I've noticed that in this day and age, especially with millennials, we like to treat ourselves constantly, and it could be for the smallest things, like, oh, I got out of bed today, I'm gonna treat myself, or the sun is shining, there's no clouds, this is going to be like a perfect weather moment, I'm gonna treat myself to a snack at, I don't know, the local bakery. And I used to do this, especially pre-COVID. When I would go to work, I would always just treat myself, like during lunch, or like, oh, I'm gonna go to happy hour, I deserve it because I was at the office for 8 hours. Like little things like that. And I think we need to start switching our mentality to not treat ourselves because of these small things that we have to do, but for things that we've accomplished big time. And I personally save these mentality, like the treat me mentality, when I've hit financial goals or kind of dream aspects of mine. So a huge example is when I started my YouTube channel. In my planner, I said, you know, if I can get my channel up, at least one video, and, you know, advertise it to my family and friends, I would reward myself with Casa Garcia's. And that's what I did. I think I vlogged, I think it was my second video or my third, I can't remember. It's one of those where I went to Casa, and to be honest, the reason why I went there was because that was a treat myself mentality for, you know, accomplishing this huge task of starting my YouTube channel. So my advice is, you know, kind of find things that you really want to do, what your dreams are, what your top priorities have to be, and then figure out how you want to treat yourself. Don't just, you know, do like the small tasks like waking up or doing the chores, or, you know, something crazy small like that. But of course, you know, if that's something, like if it's hard for you to do your chores, or, you know, you have a busy life, you have family, you have kids, then I understand. If you have a clean house and you did it all by yourself, then by all means, you know, go get that necklace that you want, or that dress that you want, or whatever the case may be. But just make it those big, significant tasks to you personally that you are so proud of yourself for accomplishing. Number 6, so you need to start looking at creating sinking funds. Now, for those of you who don't know, sinking funds are money that's set aside that go towards a certain financial goal. So an example is, let's say you want to spend, I don't know, like $200 for gifts this year for Christmas, and you don't want to be that one person who waits until the last minute. You have that budget in mind, but then you start frantically looking for everything, and things might be more expensive than what you were thinking, and you walk out of the store way over budget. You are happy that you got all these gifts and presents, but reality doesn't set in until after Christmas, when everything kind of calms down, and you look at your statement in January and you're like, like, what the hell did I just do? Why did I do that? And you always tell yourself, I'm gonna be better next year. Well, with the sinking fund, let's say you do want to do that for this Christmas and you want to have that 200 goal and you don't want to worry yourself about overspending or using your credit card or not knowing how you're going to pay everything off to start the new year. Well, you get that 200, right? And you look at how many paychecks you have from today to the date that you're going to start shopping. And you divide that 200 by whatever how many paychecks you have left, and that amount that you're going to get as your answer is going to come out of your paycheck every time until that date hits where you're like, okay, I'm going shopping. Now, I've done this like with several things in the past, especially late 2019 in my when I had just started the debt-free process. I did this for Christmas. I did this for my sister's wedding gift. I think I did it for Halloween, probably even Thanksgiving, and like several other kind of things that I did. And let me just tell you guys, it was thrilling to know that I had that money set aside. And at that time, I was literally going to banks, getting the money out and doing the cash envelope method, which is basically I have an envelope that says like Christmas 2020 and I put the money in that envelope, where I had one that said, I don't know, spa 2020, and I did the same thing. And I would literally have like this cash envelope system somewhere stashed in my house until COVID kind of hit. Then I was like, I don't want to go to banks. So what I started doing is just virtual sinking, which is I get the money, I tally up, okay, this is how much my sinking funds are going to cost for this paycheck, and then move that money to my savings account where I don't touch it. Now, I know some people are like, well, I don't want to mix my actual savings or my emergency fund with that, and that's totally okay. You can get multiple savings accounts. I just prefer to have one saving account. It's just easier for me. But if you're that type of person, by all means do that. Or if you want to use the cash method, the cash envelope method, by all means do that. But you are going to feel so just like free, I guess. You know, like especially during Christmas time when I saved up for Christmas in 2019, and by the time, you know, I went shopping, I think I saved maybe like $70 from what I thought I was going to spend, because I did my research. I asked my, you know, family members what they wanted for Christmas. I went to certain stores. I looked at coupons. I mean, I did the whole shebang, and it was just amazing. I didn't have to use my credit card. I didn't have to just dip into my savings or even my checking, my, you know, that paycheck that had just hit. And I just felt awesome that I had did this. Like that was a huge, I guess, like hashtag adulting moment for me. But like I said, guys, just start your sinking funds. And a huge tip, a huge piece of advice is to start small with your sinking funds. Don't give yourself like 20 sinking funds that take up your entire paycheck, okay? Each paycheck maybe have one or two that your top priorities that you have to do, and then maybe like your dream list. I typically only focus on like up to 4 sinking funds, and once I'm done with those, then I add on another one. So just kind of pick your priorities, if that makes sense. You know, I typically focus on holidays and birthdays, and that's about it, but it's helped me a lot. Number 7, use cash when you can. Now, I know I said on the sinking funds that I used to go to the bank, get cash out, and stuff my envelopes, but this can also pertain to soft bills. Now, for those of you who don't know, soft bills are your essentials that can vary week to week. The 2 common ones I would say are groceries and gas. And so when you start your budget, let's just go back to the whole grocery situation. After you shop your pantry, you figure out the recipes based off that, you know what you're gonna buy. You know, I would honestly take just 15 minutes out of my day, look at the HEB grocery app, and kind of guesstimate with the pricing that they have in that app to say, okay, yes, I'm going to hit my budget. This is how much I'm going to go to the bank with. This is how much I'm going to ask the bank teller to give me. And the reason why cash is so important to have on hand is because for some reason, the physical transaction of money leaving your fingertips is just so hard to do. It can be easy to forget because you're swiping your debit card, credit card, whatever you're using, because you don't see the physical transaction. You know, the numbers are just in the air, And with cash though, you're like, oh my God, like crap, I want to hold on to this for as long as possible. And so I started, making a game of it with my soft bills. It's like, okay, especially with grocery shopping, I would look at things and I'm like, okay, how can I, make my dollars stretch? That way I'm under budget, sometimes way under budget, which is so exciting. Now for things like gas and stuff like that, I mean, that just, with COVID, it's kind of different because I don't go anywhere really. And so I'm not filling my gas tank as much, as nearly as much as how I used to pre-COVID. I still budget for it, but that's just something that I've just, dwindled to like $5 a week or $10, whatever it is. Number 8, use generic brands. Now this I feel is pretty obvious, but when you're going to, I guess, a grocery store and you're looking for a particular over-the-counter medicine such as Zyrtec, or you're kind of in the cereal aisle, you're looking for Frosted Flakes, maybe just look to the left or to the right a little bit, and more often than not you'll find the generic version. It's typically the store's version of whatever that name brand item is, but for significantly less. I've noticed sometimes several dollars off of a generic item, and that just kind of astonishes me because more often than not, both of those products have been made in the same warehouse. It's just the branding and packaging that make them different. So be on the lookout at your local grocery store or Walgreens, CVS, wherever you get your items, and just take the extra time to look around for the generic. Number 9, unplug all of your appliances that you are not using. Whether it's your phone charger that your phone is not being plugged to, or you have your, I don't know, night light on, but of course it's not night, it's daytime. Unplug those items, because I don't know if you know this, you're still getting billed, you're still getting charged for that electricity usage. Now it may only be a few bucks, but hey, that's a few bucks still in your wallet. Number 10 is figuring out and creating a budget. Now I know I've talked about this in my previous tips, but I cannot emphasize it enough, and I think I really am going to create the next video in this series, an in-depth version of how I budget. It has hard bills, soft bills, sinking funds, savings. And I mean, guys, to be honest, the way or the reason I've been saving so much of my money is because of budgeting. I specifically do the zero-based budget method, which does not mean I have $0 in my checking account after every paycheck. It just means that every single dollar is accounted for. It has a purpose. I know why it's there and where it's going to go in the future. 11, utilizing credit card reward programs to your advantage. Now, if some of you don't know, sometimes credit card companies like mine have a cashback incentive for every dollar that you purchase. And this can just be very helpful, especially if you are responsible or you're in the part of your journey where you feel like you can utilize your credit card and pay it off almost instantaneously. Now, when I want to use my rewards method, which I just started doing maybe a couple of months ago, I will make a purchase, whether it's one of my softer hard bills or a miscellaneous bill, and I will put it on my credit card. That night or the next day, I pay it off immediately. I typically don't wait until like the end of my statement period. To me personally, I just don't feel comfortable, but you can do whatever you want to as long as you don't, keep it to the next statement, let interest accrue, don't ever do that. But pay it off immediately, and then towards the end of your statement balance, at the end of it, you will get points back, and these points can be converted to cash back in your checking account, savings account. It could go towards a gift card of your choosing, or it could even pay down credit card debt, which, like I said, for me that never occurs because I pay things off instantaneously. So right now I'm saving up to get a couple gift cards. Hopefully by Christmas time I'll have a few that are loaded. Number 12, make your coffee at home. It can be very expensive in the long run when you constantly are treating yourself to coffee. I know pre-COVID, when I was working at the office, I would always go to my local Starbucks and spend like $2 here, $4 here. And at first, that day didn't seem like a lot. But when I looked at my statement, I'm like, holy cow, like how am I spending all of this money. And I know some of y'all are probably shocked because you notice that you're spending a couple $100s on coffee a month, when all you need to do is just do some research, find your favorite coffee maker, purchase it on Amazon, whatever, you know, floats your boat, and start making it at home. It's much cheaper, very convenient. You don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to spend money on tax or anything like that. And you will save so much money. I can't even tell you how much money I've spent on coffee before my debt-free journey, and how much money I've saved afterwards when I realized that maybe I should, you know, maybe start drinking the office coffee, and or buy a coffee pot, which I have a Keurig, and I start making coffee at home. Especially during COVID, that's all I do. I just make coffee in my Keurig, or I get my teapot, and I've bought a couple of teas, not too many. I think I have like a calming one, and then I have Earl Grey, and that's what I do for the morning while drinking water. Remember to drink water, folks. But yes, stop buying your coffee. It'll hurt your pocket. Number 13, stop buying cheaply made clothing. Now you may think that you're saving in the long run, but you're really not, because that $5 t-shirt is probably going to disintegrate within 2 to 3 washes. Those $7 jeans, same thing. Those shoes, they'll probably break after like 7 uses. So my advice to you is to create a sinking fund, look at your wardrobe, see what kind of pieces are missing. Look at, you know, Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, Pinterest boards, whatever you use to get inspiration. Find those outfits and start saving for those particular pieces. I've done this in the past year, and I have to admit that I have a few quality pieces that I really love that I've had for, I mean, it's only been a year now, but they haven't faded, they haven't torn, and they were honestly worth it. And most of it actually was business related for work. So unfortunately I haven't been able to wear them because I'm not going anywhere and I'm not wearing them in the house. But like I said, just put money aside. Stop buying the cheaply made clothing items. They will disintegrate. I don't care what you say. If they don't disintegrate in 2 washes, I guarantee you you're going to get rid of it or not wear it at all within 6 months. Number 14, plain and simple. Cancel any subscriptions that you no longer use or no longer care for. Number 15, use coupons. However you get them, whether it's from a weekly ad or you downloaded your store's digital app and they have digital coupons, or you're in the store, really consider using coupons. I know I do with HEB, and I do use CVS, that freaking long list of coupons. I have turned those in from time to time and got a lot off of my a lot of my purchases. And sometimes, you know, if you have an HEB near you, I know I talk about groceries a lot, but to be honest, that's all I do in COVID is grocery shopping, and it's the highlight of my week. So therefore I'm talking about it a lot. But if you have like the HEB app, you'll be surprised to know that they have coupons sometimes that are like $10 off your cart just for spending 50 bucks. Or, you know, $5 off your cart just for getting the $5 of produce, so it kind of virtually rules it out. Or even on meats. I've had a couple of coupons where it's like if you buy $20 of meat, you get like 15 bucks off. It's crazy, and these are not found in store. This is actually just purely on the phone, and it's so easy. When you go to checkout, you just show them your phone, they scan it, and then you just start seeing the money just dwindle. And the app even keeps a running tally of how much you're spending. And I know that there are programs, I mean, it's not really coupon per se, but like Fetch Rewards. I literally give them my receipt, and I've already got a lot of money back from just using Fetch Rewards, which is a free app. They just work their magic on the back end, they copy your receipt, and they give you money strictly, not money, but they give you points just for scanning. And then sometimes you might have items in your receipt that are like bonus points, and so they give you extra points. And they do have in the app select things that you can intentionally buy because you know that they're going to be on bonus points. But start looking at things like that, you guys. I mean, I've saved so much money at the grocery store, and when I do my recipes, I might actually just do a video of just like how I grocery shop, to be honest. Like, the prepping, the going, and then the last of showing you guys. But it's just, I feel like it is a huge money saver when you look at coupons, when you look at these reward programs. Overall, you know, I think that's really where I spent most of my money before my debt-free journey. And now that I've gotten a hold of it, I'm able to kind of see my year back progress, my yearly review. And I'm just kind of so amazed at myself about, you know, how much I was able to save. You know, I'm not going to go into too many details with you guys, but, you know, I had a huge financial goal in my mind when was it? October? I think it was October or November, when me and Alex were really having serious conversations about building our dream home together. And I told him what my goal was, and I knew that somehow, some way, by, you know, this certain month, I think it was April or May, I would have this amount in my account. And it was, you know, amazing to see that all of the saving, all of these, you know, these 15 things that I've just talked to you about really helped me financially get to my goal. And every time I think about it, I'm just like so impressed about it. So I really hope that, you know, at least one of these tips and tricks really stood out to you, and I hope you really start your debt-free journey. Let me know down below in the comments if you're really interested in another video. I think the next video will probably be the budgeting, because I want to show y'all kind of like an in-depth view of how I do it. Because I know it's, you know, it's easier said than done, but if you can kind of see where my mind is, and I'll just come up with like a random scenario, like, you know, fake numbers, and just kind of walk you through it, and hopefully y'all will enjoy that. I know I did when I was watching kind of how to make my budget videos. And let me know if y'all are interested in kind of like how I grocery shop, you know, how I prep for it, how do I find these coupons, how do I shop my pantry. I know I was very interested in stuff like that when I started my debt-free journey, and I still am to this day. I still watch YouTubers, and I, you know, see social media influencers who show pictures of their fridge, and they show what they bought and how they did it. It's just a fascinating experience. So let me know if you're interested in that. I would be happy to film something like that for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're interested in future content from me. But I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!